Hello and welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. My name is Blake Bettner. We are in studio today. There's Josh. Hey, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing real good, man. How are you?
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
It's St. Patrick. The guy said, Patrick, well, hey, this is your first appearance on the podcast.
Hi. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Yeah, this is Patrick. What do you do? What do you do? You're the director of video editing, producing.
Yeah, I think
for
our
Worn and Wound,
masthead
right?
says media production, but
Media
it's
production,
a whole range
Yeah.
of things. You might have seen a video or two of mine on Worn and Wound or Wind Up Watch Shop at this point.
Yeah, he does shop stuff too, which I don't pay attention to any of that, so I don't know what's going on there.
He's a
but-
good salesman.
He's good. He's
Good.
he's the guy. If you're wondering like how a certain G-Shock module works, he's probably the guy you find on YouTube explaining it to, which is great. Because we all need that because those things have a lot of weird functions. You just
Yeah.
explained one the other day that had like a 4-page.
5678 module in the Casio G-Shock Mudmaster.
What's the craziest one thing that it did that you were like, what? It does that?
There's a light at the 6 o'clock. No, there's I think the temperature reading is pretty cool to have. It's nifty, but I feel like a lot of those functions you'll find on a smart device. But if you are an outdoorsman, then it's a great watch for you. Just being a multi-band 6. I'm not gonna get into it. The barometer is cool.
The barometer is
Yeah.
cool.
There you go.
If you need a barometer, that's that Mudman. That's your ticket there. Zach Kazan, he's in the computer. Hey Zach, how are you?
Hey guys, how's it going? Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's
St.
Day.
Patrick.
And Patrick's you're the only one that's wearing green, kind of. It's kind of
Aqua.
teal, aqua. Yeah, it's all right. We'll let
Green
it slide
jacket.
this way.
I walked in.
And we don't have any green beers on us. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, look at us.
Jameson?
We're woefully unprepared for St. Patrick's Day.
I'm not even a little bit Irish. I always forget about St. Patrick's Day.
I haven't had a
That's all
single beer today.
The hell? What? Oh, I mean, it's not too late.
There's a beer in the fridge. There should be some
There's a
beers.
beer in the fridge.
We can remedy this, is what Josh is saying.
We are days away from heading over to Switzerland to take in Watches and Wonders. We'll have a team of us there covering whatever's happening over there. Some new releases probably. We will be visiting some boutiques in Geneva as well. So you can look forward to that. I think our work has a new space over there. We'll stop by the Mad Gallery, maybe Epigeorn type stuff. Time to Watch is another show going on over there. So Zinn, Louis Erard. So there'll be all the kind of our favorite brands that we'll get a chance to touch base with. This is our first time traveling in a while for a show like this, just because of, the way things were for a while. Hopefully we're coming out of that and getting back into some normalcy here. So we're going to talk about what we hope to see, maybe think we'll see inaccurately, I'm sure, at Watches and Wonders over in
Wrong
Switzerland.
answers only.
Wrong answers only. So before we get to that, Zach Kazan, what are you wearing on your wrist?
I'm back to the Grand Seiko SBGA 469 today.
Okay. We never would have guessed.
I know. a little
Josh,
predictable.
Josh, you got a watch on over there?
Yeah, actually, I got my DW 5600 working again.
Oh, nice.
It turns out the mystery was one of the pushers was just recessed to a point where I don't know why. It just got stuck. So that was the reason why I kept resetting.
Okay. I think that's the watch that Keanu Reeves wore in Speed.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Did you buy it because of that?
No,
Did you?
no. No, I got the like the blacked out version. I think he has like the standard.
None of us would have judged you if you were like,
Basic.
yeah, it's my
The basic version.
Keanu. Come on.
Yeah.
Patrick, what are you wearing over there?
Grand Seiko family over here. SBGR 017. It's a lovely little watch.
That's a weird watch. Did you see this thing, Zach?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's cool.
That's funky.
Well, easily the best bracelet I've ever owned on a watch. That's actually one of the main reasons I bought it. Love the bracelet. Look up the bracelet.
Look up the bracelet if you want to. It's weird. It's a weird one, but it's cool.
I like this watch.
Yeah. Weird Grand Seikos are good Grand Seikos.
It's a little extra, you might say.
Yeah. It's a little, it's got that little
Just
something.
enough for this guy.
Yeah. I'm wearing an Explorer today. So, not very exciting there. But
No,
you know what? It does the trick. Tells me the time pretty accurately when I need it to. And, it's comfortable.
Well, reliable.
Old, reliable.
I have to get that in on a then and now. 36
Yeah, maybe,
to 36.
maybe something like that will be coming. Yes, just today, as we record this, Then and Now went live. This was with the GMT Master 1 and 2. don't know if you call the original my GMT Master 1. It's just the GMT Master. And then the other one is the GMT 2, which started with the 5-digit references. So it's, I don't know, what would you call it? It's kind of like a personal journey for me, talking about these two watches through the lens of my experiences with them over the course of, I don't know, 12, 15 years.
Yeah, it's not your general comparison. I feel like you get those kind of analysis anywhere. This is nice.
There's plenty of those out there that are great, and you can read all about all the technical aspects and all that kind of stuff. I don't really get into like the movement does XYZ type stuff. It's more of, what they've meant to me, how watch collecting / like enthusiasm has shifted over those years. And I talk in there about kind of like being cautious to buy to own and experience rather than just buying to collect. And when I say that, when I hear like collect, I think of like, okay, this is like a thing I collect and I buy to accumulate, and then they just kind of like sit there and I say I have them. And I know we use that word collecting, but I don't think we all mean that
with that connotation.
Right? It's like we collect a certain thing and then just like accumulate them.
Yeah.
Like we buy to own an experience. But I guess we say we have a watch collection because it is, if you take a step back, a watch, like if you called a stamp collector a stamp collector, they'd be like, well, there's a lot of different kinds of stamps and all this kind of thing. They're just lump them all into stamps. I don't know. But maybe that's us over here with watches. Patrick, do you consider yourself a watch collector?
No, not necessarily. I certainly was at first. I feel like all enthusiastic collectors, any hobby, are going to start by accumulating a lot of stuff. But it takes accumulating a lot of stuff to know what you like ultimately. So I've been weaning my collection ever so much these last few years. I'm down to 5 watches now, and I want to stop at 6. And this is all a rule I set for myself because my girlfriend bought me a watch box with 6 slots, and I said, that's probably all I ever need.
He wants to stop at 6, he says. Okay.
I've been good. I've been good.
Well, good luck there. Maybe get away from the likes of us around here. Zach's pretty good at
bigger
that,
boxes.
So,
I know.
Just be aware.
With the one and wound 2-box watch box, that's a good watch box. I like that thing. How many does that hold?
I'm the shop guy.
I think like 10 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 12.
You're saying I need that?
I think it is 12. Oh, hey, I'm just saying there are boxes that hold. That
I'm
hold
with you
more
on the
than
6. I think that's a nice number.
6 feels like a good number.
Right? Yeah, one less than your week.
It's a rotation.
Yeah.
For the full thing.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So but you still need to get outside of your comfort zone a little bit, though. Like you got to have 1 or 2 in there that are just kind of like, what?
Outlandish.
Yeah. A little extra.
I don't know. I don't know, but your version of extra isn't the same as mine. You know what I mean? Like I don't find this extra.
Yeah, I look at that and very few things Grand Seiko makes I look at as extra, but
it's interesting.
Now it's more about like the small details of this watch. Like the bracelet is very strange on this watch. Not strange, not in like a bad way. And then like the numerals, just for a Grand Seiko product.
The 6 and 12 are insane.
In like the shape of the bezel, it's kind of like that.
Most Grand Seikos don't have Arabic numerals, so any Grand Seiko with numerals, I think, is by definition a little bit extra.
When I
12 and 6.
I stand corrected.
When you walked in, I didn't think it was a Grand Seiko just based on that. I was like, I didn't know they had them.
Yeah, it's older one, early 2000s. This reference, NS movement. It's like got a lower power reserve than your modern Grand Seikos. It's not spring drive. It says Seiko at the top of the dial. But this design is great. I kind of wish they'd bring this case back. I like the dodecagon bezel. I like all the nice multifaceted indexes. It's a handsome watch, and it has those signature Dauphine hands that you come to Grand Seiko for. It's one of those elements that you expect from Grand Seiko. That itself kind of brings it back down to earth, maybe.
Yeah.
And I like the bracelet. The bracelet looks nice.
Yeah, extremely like industrial looking.
Do you, when you get home, do you like take your watch off and put it on the desk and then like go about whatever you're doing in the evening, or do you wear your watch like to bed?
Oh, that's a.
That's a different. I feel like that is a certain type of collector. No, a certain type of person. I do take it off when I go to bed. Sometimes I'll fall asleep forgetting that it's on my wrist, but it's one of those things where I'll put it on the nightstand or I'll put it in the watch box. I put it inside one of my cabinets, and one of my cats loves knocking whatever. All my watches, this cat's like loves playing with. I found one of my watches on the ground the other day. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna go in a drawer now.
But you don't like go about your evening activities.
Oh, I do.
With the watch.
Yeah,
you
I do.
keep it on. What about you, Josh?
Well, what's it called? For me, it's funny you asked this question because I actually wanted to ask you guys this question today if we were going to have the time. But I wanted to ask you guys this question because one of the main purposes of me, like I wear a watch to bed every single night.
Yeah.
But like I was realizing that I can't do this with every single watch that I own, and I didn't realize like which ones will be best for me. But I was like, is it weird? I was like, hey, I want to ask you guys, do you guys wear a watch to bed? And if so, which one would it be?
Yeah. So this the Explorer that I'm wearing, this is 36 millimeters. It's pretty small. If I put this on a Friday and head home, it won't come off my wrist until Monday when I like change watches, shower, everything. I don't care.
Wow.
It stays on. So, and I like watches that I can do that kind of thing with. If my Linda Verlin or something like that wouldn't, happen. But if a watch like wears like this, I won't even think about it. It'll just stay on. It'll just stay on my wrist. What about you, Zach?
I put on a Hublot Big Bang when I go to sleep.
I was going to say,
it's the only way I can fall asleep. No, I tend to take my watches off when I fall asleep, but I do wear them around the house. I don't. This question about like taking your watch off when you get home, it's very, very strange to me. I can't imagine that. I mean, basically because I'm home all the time because I work from home. But even when I worked in an office, I kept my watch on when I would get home.
Yeah, you don't need to prove it to anyone that you collect watches when you're at your home. You can take it off now. Yeah, put it to the side.
But I still use it to tell the time.
Exactly. That's like, if you use the thing, like my wife, I think wears hers for like jewelry. And so when she gets home, she her earrings, bracelets, whatever, the watch, it's all with it. And it just like goes in the jewelry drawer or dish or whatever she's got over there. And then like, that's that. So, I don't wear a bunch of jewelry, whatever. I don't take anything off when I get home. It's, I don't know.
Yeah. I realized like for when I wake up or like early in the morning or whatever, like I'm a person that doesn't want to check my phone to see what, like, I mean, obviously my alarm or something went off or whatever. Or I usually wake up before my alarm, which is why I want to check my watch or whatever.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, for example, I wore my Q to bed, and I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just the way that I dream or whatever. But I banged the hell out of like my
no kidding.
Put this huge scratch all on my Q, and I was like, oh, I can't wear this to bed. So like
your poor wife.
I was gonna say that's when we wear the big bangs. She's gonna hate you the next day. That's interesting. I've had alarm watches in the past, but those are generally to like note when something's coming up in your day. But I've like slept with like a Seiko alarm watch.
One time, Vulcan cricket.
Yeah,
that would not be a pleasant
JLC
sound.
Memovox.
That would not be a pleasant sound to wake up to every morning. I will say that. I will say that.
Yeah,
that's a cool concept. The best bedtime watch.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I found that usually I think this is probably the best one for that. So the 5600. I can't mess this thing up, and when it's in the dark, I can just turn on the light. So
for those that flail in the night.
Yeah.
So. We have, what were we talking about?
Sorry.
It's all good stuff.
Watches and Wonders.
Watches and Wonders. Before that, did you guys see this? Bulova Computron. Do you know what a Bulova Computron is?
No,
Josh?
I'm gonna look this guy up.
Look this up.
Speaking
it's a strange
of
watch.
watches
It's just like a digital screen. You have to press a button to get the time to come up. So they launched a new watch this week, and I really struggled writing about this watch because so it's two different versions of them. One of them is a special edition that is being launched in something called D-Cave Decentraland via NFT lifestyle metaverse marketplace. So. Josh,
really rolls right off the tongue.
What does any of that mean? What does that mean? I walked in here and we mentioned it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know that." You knew it. Decentraland.
Decentraland. So
why not Decentralia?
I don't know.
Come on,
I don't know.
It was right there. Anyway, what is Decentraland? What's a lifestyle metaverse?
All right. So like as far as I know, I don't know a ton about it. I do want to buy some land in Decentraland though. But it's essentially a metaverse, one of many virtual worlds where you can do whatever you want while you're in there. And just think of it as like a virtual world. That's really in its simplest form. But from my understanding, I can't remember whether it's Decentraland or a different sort of metaverse where I'm not sure if this one is meant to be like its own sort of like completely different virtual world, or one that's meant to be like mirror this one in terms of like having like the same exact, like for example, there are virtual worlds where you can buy land and it's like it's literally the same streets and same places that are in the real world. Like you can, and it's kind of like a big deal because it's like you can purchase, like for example, I can't. I'm trying to think. I think it is Decentraland, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. But like, you could buy like early on, like you could buy like the Met, for example, right? You could be the first. Like that was a real property that existed, and it really exists there. And you could buy the Met before, and if the Met didn't purchase that in the like there are real world businesses that are buying their actual properties in the virtual world.
But so how do you experience it though? Like you don't like Tron style go into the thing.
Like
you're still looking at it like, well, how is this different from like logging into like an open world video game and wandering around that world?
It's not drastically different, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of the like user experience is not really quite as high tech or even as good looking as like some of like, for example, like if you were to go into like a virtual like video game like Minecraft or any like, or
doesn't even look as good as Minecraft.
Yeah. Tragic. Like stuff is not there where it's going to be yet, but but the user experience is going to be catching up slowly.
Is this going to merge with the two space? Like to take your Minecraft example, could you buy a plot of land Minecraft style and like build Minecraft style on your plot of land?
Yeah. What a lot of people are doing, so for example, like there are,
or Fallout style, you can build in the Fallout style.
For example, like Adidas, like is heavy in this space, and they have like they're buying, they're creating their own NFTs and buying NFTs or whatever, but like you can go into their virtual store and they have in this on Decentraland or wherever else they exist in virtual worlds, and there are like unique experiences there that like where there are unique experiences that you can see there with your own avatar in that world.
Right. Do you wander around like with a controller?
You can wander around. Yeah, and you have your own avatar.
So you can try on a pair of Sambas without having to go to Foot Locker.
Yeah,
you can get the watch and wear it on your avatar.
Yeah,
well, so that's what I'm curious about, because I didn't understand where the D Cave entered the picture, because I thought it was just a gimmick. I didn't realize that Decentraland was like an actual like Second Life kind of
reading this press release was like Saturday Night Live style. I was like, what? This is real? Is this a real thing that I'm reading here? Zach knows. I mean, we're talking about this like, is this real life?
Are they first to the punch though with something like this?
I don't think so. There have been other watch brands that have kind of experimented with, and this might be the first one like with a dedicated, like with a real link to like a metaverse. But we've seen watch brands experiment with NFTs really going back, for about a year or so now, at least, that I can think of. And I think we'll see more of this.
But how is this different from, remember when Hamilton did the field khaki thing for Far Cry? How's this different from that? Because like they put it in the video game and you could equip it to your character, and it took up like a stat slot, like it buffed a couple of stats for you, so you could wear it. And then they released the real watch alongside of it.
So how is it?
Like it's like you could call the open world of Far Cry 6 a metaverse, right? Like other people can log into it and whatever. You can play co-op and all that kind of stuff, and then you can put a real world object on your player's wrist, and then wear the thing in real life, and it's this all kind of connection, right?
Yeah.
Like this feels like that.
I think
to me.
The difference is that, like, I mean, I'm this is not my area of expertise at all, but like Far Cry doesn't exist on a blockchain, which is like a very specific, specific way of like creating a digital, asset. So I think that
there's a few differences. Like, and granted, like I'm not trying to talk about it like I'm an expert. I just have a cursory understanding since I'm like a person that's dipped my toe into this world a little bit. Okay. But I think it's really just depends upon like what is the use of putting that in the virtual world. Like, for example, like if you're going to create I don't know if they created this the Computron watch as like an NFT or not, but
one of them they did. They say you can buy it. You have to buy the NFT. If you buy the NFT, then you can get one of the watches.
Then you can get, okay. All right. So that's a very popular thing that people are doing to create sort of like like exclusivity to a little bit, or to get people the NFTs. The utility of the NFT in that case is essentially it is a way to what's it called? Like this is almost sort of like a way to be like authenticity, like almost like a certificate of authenticity. Be like, hey, this is you.
Yeah.
What's it called? You are going to be the owner of this watch, and in order to be the owner of this watch, you have to have this NFT.
Right.
Oh, that's what NYC Watch Guy was talking about. As like being a viable use for NFTs on the thing. Okay.
Or it could be like, for example, in this case too, it's also like there are people that are using NFTs instead of tickets for events. Like you get an NFT instead, and that is your ticket into something or your ticket to get something.
Okay. Well, okay. All right. I can follow that.
The prices are better than Ticketmaster.
The metaverse doesn't sound as fun though as like
it's
Far Cry's world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just it's not there. It's,
Watch Simulator doesn't interest you.
Well, I mean, just the world. Like, well, they had a picture of Decentraland, right? And it's like a.
But can you
just
visit
a looking
that
store?
area? Like the Met Stadium that's built in Decentraland?
Yeah,
can you go to it? Do they hold virtual games? Like, is there something?
Yeah, you can go. You can go to it. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what the Met actually looks like. I don't know what's actually like. I don't know if they actually have like all the pieces of art in it or anything like that. Yeah, but
we need an Elden Ring metaverse.
Apparently, I would love that.
Yeah. Can I just say I played this game, Elden Ring, and I'm dead all the time. It's hard. It's really, really
You've
hard.
heard of this game?
I'm not a very good video game player, but oh my goodness gracious! Have you heard of this game, Zach? Elden Ring.
I've heard. I'm not a gamer, but I have friends who are like deep into this game, like right at this moment.
Oh man,
what's it on?
Yeah, no, I've heard it's like very
PC,
repetitive.
Xbox thing, Nintendo thing, or maybe not Nintendo. I don't know. Whatever
PlayStation. PlayStation at least.
Yeah. Anyways, I die a lot. People who are playing out there listening, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard, and apparently they made other games that are. Blood demon things.
Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne.
Okay,
Sekiro.
I've never played any of those. Somebody was like, "Oh, this has a nice big open world. You go poke around in," which is what I do because I'm terrible at fighting and all that kind of stuff.
I'll send you a guide. I'll send you a cheat sheet.
And then the next thing I know, boom! Like you take 10 steps and you're dead. Okay. Anyways, I can't put a watch on my character in that game though.
Not yet. You can't.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Bulova, get on that.
Dragons with rollies coming up.
Yeah. Okay, let's shift over to Watches and Wonders. What do we got coming up there? So you might recall Basel World is not quite a thing the same way that it used to be. With Swatch Group brands left, and then Rolex, Patek Philippe, and a lot of the big brands followed. And so now what we used to be SAHH has kind of turned into Watches and Wonders with a lot of the brands that we used to see at Basel World. So Watches and Wonders is what we got in front of us. We'll see Rolex, Tudor, Patek, all the usual kind of slew of big household name brands. Is there anything in particular that you guys are looking forward to seeing? Do you want to start with do you guys have any like hopes, desires, dreams for Rolex and Tudor? Are we going to embarrass ourselves with Tudor once again?
So I mean, I'm prepared to make a Tudor prediction.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I'm not the the first person to say this by any means, but it's the 10th anniversary of the Black Bay. I think
yes,
it's fair to say we're likely to see some 10th anniversary Black Bays from Tudor at Watches and Wonders.
All right, are we going to see?
I'm ready to make that prediction.
A steel 58 with the burgundy bezel and a rose on the dial. I think would be lovely.
Maybe. I mean, sure. I hesitate to get specific because who knows? But that would seem like that seems like a strong possibility. I would be surprised if that idea wasn't floated at some point. Yeah. By Tudor. It's like that's a pretty on the nose sort of.
I feel like
sort of release.
I said this last year many times, and it never happened. More steel Black Bay 58s. We got more Black Bay 58s, but none of them were steel, of course.
Everything but steel.
I feel like surely more steel 58s are coming, right? Like I'll keep saying it until it happens. It's got to happen one of these days. It's one of the most popular one. I think the blue one, the original one, are still pretty popular.
The appetite's there for it, right?
Yeah, totally. And not everybody likes the bronze and black and precious metals and all that kind of stuff. As lovely as some of those have been, and I think they have been pretty lovely. The kind of bread and butter steel 58s.
How long has it been since we've gotten a new steel 58?
The blue one was the last one, and that was what, early 2020?
2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago. Yeah.
Biding their time, I suppose.
Yeah, and there's only 2 total. If you look at just the regular Black Bay, there's a slew of different models there. So, I feel like that's a safe bet. One thing that, and I say this all the time, but chronograph from them along the lines of that heritage. If this is going to be the 10-year anniversary, though, that Black Bay, I could really see them just kind of going that route, and that's what we're going to get. But nowadays, 10 years ago, it used to be whatever released at Basel World, those are the watches for the year, pretty much. Now I feel like brands have this like seasonal approach where, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, you're going to get like kind of a batch of releases possibly, or even a watch. So we saw the FXD already released. That was late last year. That was outside of any show or anything like that. I think if they hold the Watches and Wonders kind of release window for the kind of headline product, something like a 10th anniversary type style watch, and then late summer, fall, type areas is when we would get maybe another Pelagos or chronograph.
Yeah, they didn't release
like
a Pelagos last year, did they?
Did they?
Well, the FXD was
that's
the one,
right.
and that's technically a Pelagos.
Sorry.
So
Did they
But that
discontinue the prior non-FXD
no, they still make just a
Pelagos?
regular Pelagos, and those I think are still kind of like the. The FXD is the cheapest Pelagos you can get. So I think the Pelagos itself is kind of like it's still technical powerhouse.
Just by virtue of the fact that it doesn't have a bracelet.
There's no bracelet on it.
Yeah.
So that's a thing, and it's probably a little more niche than the regular Pelagos there. So
Yeah, that's why I didn't think of it. I forget that it is.
yeah. It doesn't like read immediately.
Part of that
like
family.
Pelagos.
Yeah.
So I would, I would like to see that. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, and this goes for Rolex too, is seeing something that's like new, that's just new. And if you really think about it, like they've updated some of they've put their newer 32 series movements, Kinesi movements into a lot of their newer watches, but they've all been kind of rehashes or slight variations of watches that have been around a long time. The last new watch we got from Rolex was the Sky Dweller, and that was like a totally new thing. The Daytona hasn't really changed since it got the 4130 in the first place. So that's been 20, close to 20 years now. So sure, it got the ceramic bezel and all that kind of stuff, but there's nothing that's really like new that's been launched. So I would like to see something like totally like just maybe like a new model family, like maybe they axe the Air King or the Milgauss and just have something totally new take its place that we're kind
The
of
Milk King.
the Milk King, of course, like we said.
I feel like the Milgauss is still popular. I don't think anyone likes the Air King for some reason.
One sold this week for $15,000. I'm gonna let that
So
sink
one
in.
person.
Air King
one
or a
person.
An Air
Milgauss?
King, a 116900. That's the weird kind of redheaded stepchild watch of the collection, and I guess that's just a sign of the times more than anything else. So maybe take that with a grain of salt. But I can, they got to do like either just kind of cut it and put something new there, or do something with it. I feel like every year I see the same renders of a Milgauss with a black bezel or some such thing like that, but it never happens. So cut it, make something new. Like, let's see some innovation that we know that they're all like capable of.
Reintroduce the Rolex Athlete series, please.
Or the Space Dweller. That's what I'm holding out.
You want a
for.
Space Dweller?
I want the Space Dweller. Yeah.
Is that a thing? Is that ever been a thing for them? Do they have a space watch?
Well, they did use for a short stint, Space Dweller.
I did not know this.
Yeah. It's kind of a 1016 looking watch. I don't know. Patrick, what's the one thing that you would like to see that you'd go, yep, this was a good year?
From either Tudor or Rolex, can we just get a silver bracelet for your taupe silver Tudor Black Bay? Because I would love a matching bracelet. I like that watch a lot.
Yeah.
Except when I buy one of those snobs, it has to get the watch with the bracelet, and if it didn't come equipped with one or standard with one, then I just don't get it. But I would happily buy one with a matching silver bracelet because the dial is insane and that watch is lovely.
Yeah.
I would buy that. But I would also love to see, because I'm actually a big fan of the FXD, it'd be great if they because they still have the Pelagos, and then there's the Pelagos FXD. It'd be cool to see a Black Bay and a Black Bay FXD, or some variant where it's intended for the wearer to wear it on a strap that is not a bracelet.
A fixed bezel Black Bay.
That would be sick.
Ooh, yes.
I'd
That's
love that.
titanium. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I forgot that's titanium. It's so funny. You don't even. It just gets lost on the wrist. I mean,
Yeah, it really does. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm a huge fan of the Pelagos FXD though. So to see that come to the Black Bay, that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I'd appreciate that.
yeah, I'd welcome that. Yeah. Josh, what about you? Is there any Rolex you could see that make you be like, all right, maybe they're not so bad?
No. I mean, I don't know. I've become like the anti-Rolex person on this podcast, but
That's all right. It needs one. Every podcast needs one.
When was the last time they released a watch in the Cellini line? You think we'll get a Cellini this year?
I think that was being discontinued, maybe. I don't know.
They're not discontinued though. I think they're still like part of the catalog, as far as I know.
Did they do the Cellini moon phase? Am I mistaken?
Yeah, they do.
That's the family that got the
I
moon
think that
phase.
was the last one that
Right.
they
I
released.
wonder if they put that
2-3 years
movement and
ago.
complication in like more of a
Black Bay.
less, all going to Black Bay. Like in a less formal watch, though. You know?
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I would appreciate that. I feel like people that own Rolexes use them diversely. Like I feel like people
They sleep in them, they shower in them.
Yeah, they're kind of the do everything watch. I mean, I feel like they're sort of known for that. So seen people dive
We're
with
not all
day
terrible
chest.
people.
yeah. So-
We sleep just like you.
Yeah.
So my wrist is more expensive.
No, all right. So what's moving on from there? Zach, what other brands are you like really excited to see?
Well, Grand Seiko. I'm obviously a big Grand
yeah.
Seiko fan, so I'm curious to see what they'll release. I imagine we'll get some, limited editions, seasonally inspired stuff, perhaps. I'm wondering if there'll be some, they've had, a bunch of new movement innovations in the last few years. The new high beat movement, spring drive with a longer power reserve. So is there like perhaps a new quartz movement, in the pipeline to kind of round that out, or will they expand those new high beat and spring drive movements into other watches? So I'm always curious to see what Grand Seiko will have in store.
That's right. I had forgotten about them. Yeah, I'm excited to see.
And then there's the anti Grand Seiko guy. I know. You're not even anti. You're just
I'm not
just not your
anti,
thing.
like,
yeah.
No, I like Grand Seikos. I appreciate them. They're beautiful. But like how I use my watches, I don't really like stop and think about like finishing on the hour baton or something.
Yeah.
Like maybe I should more often.
It's all I think about.
That's all. Actually.
Consumed by it.
Yeah. So I'm more concerned with like, can I sleep in this thing?
Yeah.
No, I'm excited to see what they have in store too. I've been really close on a few of their recent releases to being like, I would really like to have one of those in my collection. And I've talked before. I feel like it's only a matter of time before one ends up on my wrist and in my watch box, in my toolbox watch box with 12 slots in it.
It's like that, you have like a infinite number of chimpanzees at typewriters. Eventually you'll produce the works of Shakespeare.
No,
with enough Grand Seikos, eventually Blake will like one.
It's gonna look, I like them though. A lot of it's just like the few things, like a couple of the and I think we talked about this before, where you like one thing that's kind of like I can't, like the frame date windows. I have a hard time with. So if they did a dateless version of a white birch with the blue dial or the white dial or whatever, like that would probably push me over the edge. That bothers me more than the 22 millimeter lug span. So if they did that, consider me on board. We're actually supposed to be getting all of those releases today, so look out. We'll know soon. Obviously, we wouldn't be able. It's probably better that we haven't seen them yet coming on this podcast, so we can talk about our predictions.
No insider info.
I'm gonna feel like a real asshole if it actually is a dateless white birch or something.
You have to put your money where your mouth is, and
Didn't just lift that off.
Yeah, Nick, if you're listening, I swear I haven't seen.
Yeah.
anything come in. But no, I think that too, and I feel like the quartz line, and they've got kind of the spot in the like $5,000 to $6,000 range that I think is interesting, and they're doing really cool things. And so I'm excited to see what they have in store there too, and like. Yeah, the movements, like how they've been finishing some of the recent movements, some of these newer movements, I think is really awesome. And the high beat movement, I think is a fantastic movement. I would love to have a watch with that movement in it.
Yeah, same.
So
yeah, it's funny. I recorded the Joe Kirk podcast, and it was great just listening to him talk about. He had the white bird chin, and the watch is lovely. It's amazing. And one of the things that's sort of lacking is a smaller dive watch. And I know that they make dive watches. I think they're 43 or something like that. But I wear watches that are generally 36 to 39 tops. And I've sort of broken that with the Fairer I picked up recently. But yeah, like a smaller...
The Cobb monopusher.
It's
a sweet Fairer, by the way.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of like quintessential Fairer if you want to see them use colors in an interesting way, but also, be a lovely watch in and of itself, like the Harlequin sides and everything, like the patterning there. It's great. But with Grand Seiko, I love everything they do. I like the release of those smaller 34 millimeter dress watches they did that were, if I'm not mistaken, manually wound. I love all their quartz-based movements. I actually would love to get a modern quartz Grand Seiko, although my eyes aren't on anything necessarily right now.
Yeah.
I've always liked the 44 Grand Seiko. I'd love a vintage Grand Seiko. Expectations of modern Grand Seiko, though, I guess I'd love to see a new sports watch from them for people that like a smaller diameter. That's all.
Yeah,
they're capable.
This is something that I feel like a lot of people I hear talk about. They do great with. I don't know. They're not like formal watches, but they're not informal watches.
I wouldn't call them dress watches either.
They're kind of like in this. They're their own thing, which I like, and I
There's
like
something kind of like inherently ornate about Grand Seiko. It's kind of like built into their design language. It's like just on the wrong side of sporty, I think.
But they do make these sporty watches that are kind of like these big gigantic things, and and they feature all the great finishing details, and they're lovely to behold, right? But I would like to see them make them like a more reasonably sized sport watch with some of their more like toned down design language. I think would be really cool. But at the same time, I kind of feel like a lot of brands are making really awesome sporty tool watches. Like, do I really need that from Grand Seiko? Maybe not. Like, I like what they've got going with some of their newer releases, and I would like to see them kind of like flesh that out a bit more. But I don't know. Like, I think they could do a killer sport watch.
Yeah, like a diver at 40 to
like that.
42 even. I don't know. It's something about the scale. I know they have smaller quartz-based divers, but I don't know. They've got these wonderful spring drive and mechanical movements. It'd be cool to see something in that realm too. And I don't want to parrot the same complaint that everyone makes. I think they've got their proportions the way they want them. Yeah. Whether it suits you or not is a personal thing. I just personally prefer smaller watches. So
yeah, but if they made a diver that was competitive with like a 50 fathoms or Submariner, kind of like in that realm price wise, I would love to see it. Like, I think it'd be. And
what would that be? Yeah,
what would that look like? Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but I'd love to see their take on it. But at the same time, like I said, like lots of brands are doing really awesome sport watches. Of course, that's like really popular right now. So I don't feel like we're short on that. And Grand Seiko's like just they're doing their thing, and I would like to see them keep doing that. And I feel like they're on a strong note right now. So.
Well, they got you covered with like Seiko. There's a lot of amazing dive watches that come out for Seiko. And not necessarily hot horology like Creedor level or Grand Seiko level of like finishing, but you can find a lot of great divers in that. In the Seiko family. So,
but yeah, like the SPB 149 that Zach and I have and love. What's a $10,000 version of that look like?
Right.
And feel like I'd be curious to see it.
It seems like they've given all that attention and love to the Seiko line, but they haven't like elevated it to Grand Seiko level. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Yeah. What about you? Any Grand Seiko thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, they're just. I don't know. I've kind of just. I don't know what to do with them. That's kind of what I feel like. How I feel about them. I don't know. Like I kind of just feel like they're very precious in a way. Like, but I don't. But like you said, like they're kind of not at the same time. So yeah. So like it's just a big question mark for me. Like I pretty much have the same thoughts that you have about them. Actually, will say I actually think I'd probably rather wear a Rolex than a Grand Seiko, to be honest.
Whoa,
with you.
That's curious. That's curious.
Zach just left the chat.
Yeah.
I know.
That's funny.
I'm out.
This watch was made 2003, and I take it on a 16-mile trek to and from work every day on my bike. No suspension, hard roads. Sapphire crystal, 200-meter water resistant. It was raining today. It's beat to heck. You got to look at it really close, but there's scratches everywhere. And I don't baby it, and it hasn't missed.
Like I know it holds up. I know it'll.
But
hold
I understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
It is very pretty.
It looks really pretty. That's the
you
thing.
feel cautious around it, but you don't have to be.
Yeah, all of them look very pretty, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't feel like I need a very pretty. Yeah.
That's so curious. Yeah. Maybe if that date frame wasn't there.
The date frame.
It is pretty.
All right. So who else we got? We've got some of the high end, like crazy stuff that we're looking forward to seeing, like Patek Philippe. I don't know what the heck to expect from. Maybe they'll have the new the 5711 replacement. 6711. I don't know. And to be honest with you, that's not really a watch I think about all that often, and I'm not like excited about it. I mean, just like when the new Royal Oak came out, like, oh, it's interesting. I think it's undeniable the like the path that's like. I think that kind of opened up a genre that didn't exist prior to it. I think it's an interesting watch for a lot of ways, but it's also not a watch that I'm like clamoring to. Look, I don't know. And the 5711 is kind of the same way. Like I just don't. It's not a watch I really think that much about. So, for Patek, like I like seeing some of their more complicated stuff. To me, that's what I enjoy from Patek. Like great watchmaking. Imagine that. Not like simple sport watches. So yes, some of the complicated stuff I'm excited to see.
They just, like officially, with that auction closed out the 5711. So like, do you think that they would like turn around and introduce the successor to the 5711 so soon after, like all the media hoopla of that, like the Tiffany dial and the auction and everything? Like it would totally like dominate like press at Watches and Wonders if they did that, but it might not all be like good, like positive
good
press. That happened.
And also keep in mind, like I doubt that it's gonna just like the Royal Oak. Like if you saw one on somebody's wrist, you probably wouldn't be able to tell it apart from the prior version. And I'm sure it'll be something similar with this, where it's a couple of minute changes here and there, maybe like a movement upgrade or whatever. But yeah, and that would be a bummer because I'm sure everyone would talk about it and it would overshadow everything else, and it'd be
right.
But it also would be like, I don't know, maybe the least interesting thing there, I'm guessing. No, I mean I like seeing the weird kind of up there. Like if you're gonna go into Patek, like come in swinging. I guess that's my feeling on it. Like what's like the 5270 kind of perpetual calendar chronograph type crazy stuff. That's what I like to see from them. So that should be a fun one. Another brand, Parmigiani Fleurier. I'm told to expect something pretty impressive from them. Maybe something like totally new. So we've got time booked off with them to see. I'm excited to see how that goes. And then just seeing some of the boutiques there in Geneva, the Urwerk space. I'm really excited to see that. I'm a huge fan of Urwerk and MB&F, obviously at the Mad Gallery. So we'll be going to check all that stuff out and hopefully get to see some of what they got planned. Those brands, of course, aren't taking part in Watches and Wonders, but it's their hometown. So we'll make time for them and see what they have going on there. I would love to see more legacy machines from MB&F. They did a steel one last year. I would love to see more steel legacy machines from them. It's still pretty expensive, but not like $300,000 expensive like the HM9 or whatever it is. And I just like seeing them do new crazy stuff that that kind of makes you go, what? And the same with Urwerk. So, and then who else? FP Journe is another one. So you'll see if you're used to coming around Worn and Wound, and you'll see some brands that we don't traditionally talk a whole ton about, but we'll have some cool hands-on stuff with these types of watches and be talking to some of these people. So keep an eye out for that if you're keen to, like when you pick up a car and driver on the rack at the airport because they've got something on the new whatever hot car from Porsche or Lamborghini or something. Like, it's still fun to read about that kind of stuff, I think, and how they're pushing things forward, and without me feeling like it's so impractical. Where would I put my kid in that? Like, I can't,
Yeah.
I think sometimes we too often think about watches in terms of like, "Oh, I can't afford that, so who cares?"
Yeah.
Or rich people or people who I don't like probably buy these things. Yeah.
It's fun to window shop.
Strip all that stuff aside and just appreciate it for what it is and what's being done here. So hopefully we'll have some cool looks at some of that kind of stuff. Any other last predictions or hopes that we want to make? Zach, anything else in your mind?
I think we covered. Zenith is another brand that I'm looking forward to. So I'm currently finishing touches on my review of the Zenith Defy Skyline.
Oh yeah, that's right. So that'll be live by the time this thing, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Should
Here,
be.
so where do you come down on that thing?
I like it. I'm a big fan. I think it's a really cool watch. And, if this is if last year was kind of like the year of the Chronomaster, if this year is the year of the Defy, then maybe there's some, interesting, Defies, to be seen at Watches and Wonders. That would make me very happy because I'm a fan of a big fan of the Defy as a product line. So we're looking forward to seeing what happens there.
Yeah, I'd love to see them going that route again as well. So the DeFi Skyline has the high beat movement in it, and the running second hand makes a loop every 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't find this bothersome or anything? You could wear this every day?
I wouldn't say I found it bothersome. I think it's useless, but it's not. It wouldn't deter me from buying the watch. I kind of see it as like a flex on their part, just kind of like showing off that they've they've got this high beat movement and it's capable of this very impressive accuracy and stability. Although, because there isn't a traditional seconds hand on the watch, you can't really verify that in any meaningful way. So
it's
the watch is kind of like a paradox.
I was just going to ask that.
I know. I didn't try.
It does hack.
Could you pull it out and get it right at the top to set it accurately?
That would drive.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell you where you are within a minute. So it's not you can't really set it against time.gov and be
What,
sure.
you can't stop it right at the zero, right at the top,
and then align your minute.
And align your minute.
Yeah.
I guess you could, but how do you know? I've experimented with when I had the watch. I don't have the watch in hand anymore, but I couldn't figure out a way to be sure that it was exactly
which rotation it was on.
422 in the afternoon. It just doesn't really.
It'd just be trying and trying.
Yeah.
Well, because you don't have a 60-second scale. So how do you know if you're at the top or the bottom of a minute at any 10-second interval?
So it's not the subdial is not labeled numerically.
It has a 10 at the 12 o'clock position, which is confusing.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I couldn't see past that hand.
Yeah, because you don't know where it is in the minute.
So you stop it at that 10.
So you'd have to stop it at the 10, and
you
then
don't know if
your
it's
minute hand gets directly on the minute that it's, and that when you start it theoretically.
Yeah, but then you don't know if you're actually at that minute. You see what I'm saying? It's you stop it at 423 when the second hand is right at the 10.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's 423 or if it's 423 20, 423 30, 423 40.
It'd be interesting if that 10 was its own little aperture, and every lap it made, it flipped the wheel to 1,
I would
2,
love that.
3, up to 6, and then went back to the 1.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That'd be pretty slick.
Or just switch it to a decorative star.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have that spin. Right.
I look forward
anyway,
to
it's a cool watch. Even in spite of that, I find it, I find it interesting. So, we'll see what the future holds for the Defy and the Skyline.
Yeah. I'm excited about Zenith as well. They've been doing some cool stuff, of course. So, all right, before we wrap up, I'm going to take a quick chance to remind you to go make an account on Loop This so you can be ready for the auction to benefit the World Central Kitchen doing work in Ukraine right now. Check out our Watches Stories gear from last weekend for more details on that. So, and I think some more watches are starting to kind of trickle out. Bespoke Watch Project, John, I think he's making a watch and putting it in there. So lots of new watches are being added to that, so keep an eye on it and don't miss out there. thank you for tuning in. We will be doing probably a couple of different podcasts on the fly while we're in Switzerland. So, I don't know, Patrick, that's your territory. So I'll let you stress about that. So we'll probably do one kind of going right into the show and then one to close out the show. So we'll probably have a 2 podcast week if you can stomach that much of us for all the new releases and our reactions there. So be sure to keep it on the site. We will have live hands-on looks at some of the watches, at least, we know, and then hopefully we'll be able to get your hands on some of the more interesting ones for extended periods of time for a review, or maybe some video type stuff too. So
Plenty of them.
plenty of that. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, Patrick. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, pleasure.
And thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.